Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Paladins of Voltron, an unofficial podcast about the Netflix original series Voltron Legendary Defender. I'm your host, Jeremy. With me is Jason Kirk, and we're going to be looking at Season 2, Episode 2, The Depths. So how are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah. Good.
Awesome.
As we mentioned in the last episode, we welcome feedback. We're not going to get into feedback until we do a specific episode dedicated to it. But if you want to contact us on Twitter, you can do it at POV_podcast. Facebook is POV podcast. Instagram is POV_podcast. And you can always email us at feedback@povpodcast.com.
Yeah, all the stuff I forgot to mention at the beginning of the first episode.
It was the first episode. You had a lot of other stuff to pack in the beginning of that show.
Right.
So we'll get into this episode. It is written by Joshua Hamilton and directed by Eugene Lee. And I believe this episode happens in parallel with the first episode. We're following Lance and Hunk as they emerge out of their wormhole and crash through a planet that's largely covered with ice, and they break through and land at the bottom of an ocean. While evaluating their situation, Lance sees a mermaid out of his lion's window. So, of course, he ends up outside the lion to investigate. The mermaid takes Lance and Hunk to meet with her queen, Lucia, who promises to help and to make sure they're safe and warm. The queen explains that the city uses this thing that fell from the space called a Baku garden for warmth and food. Lance and Hunk both become entranced by the queen, but while they're sleeping, a group of creatures break in and rescue them. Well, they rescue Lance. Hunk was unable to fit through the hole they made. So the creatures just leave him there, and they take Lance with them and free him from the mind control. They explain that the jellyfish that they're wearing on their heads protects them from the queen's mind control, and they have one for Lance to put on, and just like any commercial for medicine or something, it has all these side effects, and of course, Lance's face just blows up like a balloon.
Yep.
So they enlist Lance to rescue his lion, so he can free the rest of the people. Fully under the mind control, Hunk is a happy drone and defends the queen as Lance comes in. Eventually, after a fight with Lance and Hunk, Lance is able to free Hunk from the mind control, and together they capture the queen. However, it turns out that the queen is also a victim of the mind control. They realize that it was actually the Baku garden that was controlling them through the food, and that the mer people actually ended up being the food for the Baku garden. Lance and Hunk then take their lions, and the Baku reveals itself as a snake-like creature. The two paladins engage the creature, and Lance realizes that his lion's even more powerful in the water. He's able to unlock a new ability with his lion and defeats the creature with a new sonic beam weapon. The day saved, the queen helps the paladins by activating a beacon that Pidge was able to find. So that is the second episode, and one note with this was we got our first celebrity voice of the season. The kind of wacky cave dweller that rescued Lance was actually voiced by Weird Al Yankovic.
I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah. This was a pretty fun episode, and we see a lot of nice camaraderie between Lance and Hunk. And I think out of the entire group, they've known each other the longest. So I like that the season started off with everyone separated, but you have groupings like Keith and Shiro, who they also have some history that we don't really know yet. But we know Lance and Hunk were together at the Galaxy Garrison before Pidge was added to their group. It was neat seeing them play off each other. We know that they both enjoy, a lot of the same humor. So I like seeing it, kind of like a buddy comedy.
Yeah, this episode is great. And I had completely forgotten about the fact that Lance and Hunk. I keep wanting to call him Hulk. Too many Marvel movies. Lance and Hunk, they actually have known each other the most. I actually had forgotten about that, but that's again, it goes to the writing. We are comfortable. These two characters are so comfortable with each other that it's not. It feels natural. So it's almost like it doesn't stick out. And yeah, this is a pair that having these two paired together for this episode was great. The moment at the beginning where the blue line comes back online, and that's when Lance sees the mermaid, and Hunk's like, "I am not helping you." And as he's not even done with the sentence, he sees that Lance has left his line, and he's like, "And you're already out of your line." Yeah. This one was very much written. This one I could have seen this one as like a buddy cop episode. So that was nice. That these two characters kind of have like that relationship with each other. The voice of Weird Al was great too.
The mind control thing was really neat because they had an interesting twist where you were led to believe the entire episode that the Queen was doing it, and then it ended up being the food that they were eating. And if you actually look at their eyes, the moment that they first put a piece of food in their mouth, their eyes just like get really pinpointed, and you're like, that's the moment that they started being controlled.
Oh yeah, okay, good point.
So
I just thought that was more anime trope.
So that was, you think it's just like they're enjoying the food, but that's the moment of the mind control. So I thought that was a really neat twist. But then there's also a really dark side to this episode where the mermaid that Lance initially sees, she was responsible for guarding Lance and Hunk. And since Lance escaped, she told her that the Queen told her that she failed and she needs to now go for a walk in the garden, which means she got eaten and killed.
Food, yeah.
It's really, really dark if you actually think about it.
Oh yeah, and because she's mind controlled, she just accepts it.
Yeah,
which is even
just like
darker.
Yeah. But then the kind of rebel group that with the jellyfish on their heads mentioned that hundreds of people have actually gone missing.
Right, and then at the end, when the Queen herself is out of her mind control, the one rebel that's in the lion's mouth with her's like, nope, we're not trusting her. We got to kill her. And it goes to the fact that because these Lance and Hunk were chosen as Paladins of Voltron because they have that compassion stuff. Lance is like, no, I'm pretty sure we should probably listen to her. And then a second later, Hunk says that the Baku is starting to transform and turn into like whatever the heck it was. I found it funny that it was called a Baku plant, because the Baku were the race of aliens in Star Trek Insurrection. I don't know if they were trying to do some kind of homage to that or something.
I have blocked that movie out of my head.
No, there's no need to block that out when there's Nemesis. Come on. You don't need to do that.
Oh, wait. I guess Nemesis would be the bad one.
Actually,
those later movies, I
actually like Nemesis, so I'm not going to be too hard on it. I get gruff for that, but so yeah, this is the episode where I started wondering, I almost feel like some episodes they're trying to put in like some other pop culture Easter eggs, if you will, like calling this the Baku. That might not be the case, but there's some stuff that happens in later episodes where I'm like, I think they're aping or they're paying homage to something here. So that's something I'm definitely going to be paying attention to as we go through the episodes. Mm-hmm. One in particular that takes place not on the castle coming up that I think there's quite a few things that are just fantastic in it. So that'll be fun to talk about. And actually, let's see, that's a odd numbered episode, so I get to cover it. So take that.
You also get more episodes than me.
I know. I'm special.
More work.
Right. Well, you can always take the feedback episodes.
Yeah.
So everyone emails, so Jeremy has a lot to do. I kid.
So do you have any other points you want to bring up on this episode?
I think whereas the first episode had Keith and Shiro and Pidge's story, I like that this one was just Lance and Hunk. I think they made a good choice to take these two characters and make a full story about just them, other than, of course, Pidge showing up at the end once the beacon's been turned on.
They don't really spend too much time on the details of how they got back to the castle. They're just we already established the whole beacon thing. You know, there's a beacon, And as soon as the lions go online, we know the castle can locate the lions wherever they are. So it just they got back to the castle.
Yeah, this goes to the idea that the story doesn't hold your hand. It explains what it has to explain, but it lets you fill in the rest, and it does a great job of that. I can't talk about. I mean, the next episode basically picks up with everyone back, but yeah, they don't have to worry about that kind of. They focus on the story they're trying to tell about these people that have been mind controlled by this creature for so long that hundreds of them have been devoured by it, and they had no idea. I like, there's some good comedic bits, like Lance saying that if he happens to find the next Mrs. Blue Lion.
Right, yeah, I thought that was...
Yeah, that's great. He now identifies himself as, Mr. Blue Lion. Yeah, and just the interplay between those two. Hunk being scared when Lance is like, well, I'll just leave you here and you're a non-functioning lion.
Lance knew exactly what buttons to push.
Right. And actually, another thing that goes to your point about them not holding our hands, when they go to the city and the lines are brought to them, we already knew that the blue line was turned on. The yellow line is turned on with his shield on. They didn't show it. They didn't have to. We knew that the lion is...
Yeah, I don't know if they've ever gone into what powers the lions, but it's neat to just know it's something magical or, so it's just, they were all offline. But after so much time of being offline, they just come back.
Sure. Yeah, it's like if something happens to you, if you get hit too hard in the head, you're going to pass out for a while. Hopefully you'll come to eventually. And I think, I don't know, I kind of go to the whole ordeal with what happened with Wolverine in Marvel Comics. For longest time, Wolverine you knew nothing about his backstory. He was an enigma. You knew nothing about him. And then they did X-Men, they did the origin on him. His name's Logan.
It was a great movie.
I wasn't even referring to the movie, sir. At least they fixed Deadpool eventually. And, a lot of people, even though Wolverine's still a great character, a lot of people are like, man, I still wish I knew absolutely nothing about him. So I think I can see us getting a story somewhere down the line about how the lions were created or something like that. But I don't think they're going to do anything to spell out, well, this is the magic that powers their soul and their... trying to think of a good word for what it could be, but
I could see that being a third or fourth season type of thing they want to address.
I can definitely see that next season. Yeah,
I mean, because they're still building the pieces, the foundation, and then once the foundation is in place, then you can go into the lore and really build that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. Because these are nice tight seasons. Maybe if the season was a little longer, maybe we would have gotten a little bit of that by now. But as it is now, we're getting nice, tight stories. Mm-hmm. Then seasons are well paced. Two episodes now have been well paced. Spoilers right now. I don't think there's a bad paced episode this season.
Yeah, I was saying on Twitter or Facebook or something that I don't think there's a single filler episode in this series.
Nope. Even the one that could be the filler episode is not a filler episode.
Oh, no. It's probably the best episode.
It is. So, yeah, I mean...
it says a lot that we both know exactly what episode.
Right. And actually, it's funny because at one point, one of us brought up the idea, well, should we rate the episodes? And I remember thinking, no, because we pretty much think every episode is pretty great. Yeah. I mean, if you want a critical view of Voltron, you're at the wrong place. But I'm not going to get upset about that because... it's not that the writing's okay, but because we love these characters so much. No, this is a well-written show with great characters. That's all I ever want, Right. Story, characters, and...
I'm not even complaining that you don't see Voltron in every episode.
No, we have not seen Voltron yet. I might get to say the word Voltron next episode, perhaps, just throwing it out there. And that's the good thing. Like, you don't see him a lot, but because, we get lion action at least, which helps. But I'm pretty sure we could go a whole episode without seeing anyone on a lion. It would still work out just fine. So, Yeah. So no Voltron yet. So count that. 2 episodes. Put him on the milk carton. Have you seen this Voltron? Hopefully someone will identify him and return him. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see him pretty soon. Just a little hint there, everybody. Says the man who said we shouldn't spoil anything from future episodes.
Yeah.
pretty sure it's not a stretch to say that we'll see Voltron sometime in the show that's called Voltron. Just saying. So yeah.
All right. Well, you have anything else on this episode, or you wrap it up?
Weird Al's great.
Yeah.
I really like the voice effect they did with it was mostly just those three like rebel characters, like that, kind of garbled and stuff.
Well, they were speaking through jellyfish.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Weird Al. Like I didn't even know it was Weird Al at first. You pointed out to me at one point. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This is Weird Al. So yeah, I'm hoping as the seasons go on, we're just going to get more and more guest voices. I'm still amazed that Kevin Michael Richardson hasn't showed up anywhere as a character, because all these Galra have these deep voices and stuff. Mm-hmm. I can see him coming at some point. So, but yeah, the fact that, and again, you said at the beginning, this probably takes place at the same time as the first episode we talked about last episode. They don't tell us that. They don't have to tell us that, because Pidge is the green line is that thing that kind of combines the two episodes.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there were ever thoughts of making these a combined episode. Like the very first one was like a 70-minute, essentially 3 episodes together.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I think that actually would have hurt the pacing if they did.
Yeah.
Just because
there was so much happening in this episode,
right?
That splitting it up would have messed up the pacing.
Right. And this is we don't know anything special about the production. This is just a shot in the dark for us. But I think you're right. And I think they looked at it and said, no, we kind of have to keep this one separate. So good choice if they did. And if it was just happy luck and they did it right from the first time, then good job, guys. Congratulations. You're doing it right the first time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, like I said at the beginning of the show, if you want to contact us, we're on Twitter, POV_podcast, Facebook, POV podcast. Instagram, POV_podcast again. And you can always email us feedback@povpodcast.com. And we welcome all feedback and look forward to hearing from you. So with that, I'll say thanks for watching or listening. Oh, also subscribe. Wherever you got this, subscribe, whether it's YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, cassette player.
If some random guy in the street just handed you a a memory card with an MP3 on it, subscribe to him.
Where you can get more.
No, just say I'm subscribed to you now. Can I just meet you at this corner every? Actually, don't do that. That could end poorly. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a note to make a nice little thing that has our social media on it for the video someday. So look for that soon, people. I mean, come on, we're wearing the same shirts. It's not like people don't understand we're recording a few at a time.
Right.
So yeah. Okay. Great. Episode 2 in the bag.
That's the ending.